So I just started a new training block, and for this training block I brought back an old shoe that honestly I didn't put that many miles in beforehand, but now running in the shoe I'm wondering why I didn't run in it more often. That is the Nike Tempo Next%. It was a shoe that was released back in, I think it was the fall of 2020. And initially, I remember people really didn't like the shoe. Back in the fall of 2020 was kind of the beginning of me really getting into running. It was kind of the beginning of me using Strava and actually tracking my runs, and also the beginning of me following YouTubers and watching running shoe reviews. And I distinctly remember many people really didn't like the shoe, so at the time I was like, okay, I'll just never get it. Then in, I think it was around September of 2022, Nike, I guess, put this shoe on sale because I guess they were getting rid of it. So I picked up a pair for, I want to say like 70% off, like it was super cheap. And when I first got it, I really liked it. I remember thinking, I don't know why people don't like it. It was kind of my first introduction to kind of a super shoe, because when I got this shoe, I had never run in a Vaporfly or an Alphafly. And initially I really liked it, but I was just kind of new to running still, even when I got the shoe, only being about 2 years in. I didn't fully understand where to put shoes into a rotation, so over the years it just kind of fell back and I just didn't really use it that much. And before this training block, I had only put, I think it was about 90 miles-ish into the shoe or something like that. And yeah, for this training block, I decided to bring it back, and I absolutely love this shoe. I do not understand why so many people were being hard on it. I think it's a great example of a shoe that was way ahead of its time. I also am aware that I don't think you can really get this shoe at all now, so I'm not like making this video to say that you have to go try and find this shoe, because you probably can, but it'd be like super overpriced by now anyway. I'm making this video to mainly talk about how I think a lot of modern shoes, like a lot of modern super shoes, like I would kind of classify this one as maybe not like a full super shoe, but more of a super trainer, don't do something that this shoe does really well. What this shoe does really well is it's a really good speed shoe. It is specifically designed for speed without being a super shoe, and it does it really well. I don't understand why people were being so hard on it. I think a lot of modern super shoes today, or a lot of modern super trainers today, are really good at doing everything, but they're not necessarily incredible at doing any one particular thing, whereas this shoe is really good at running fast. I have now put 2 workouts in with this shoe, and it genuinely feels like a super shoe. I feel like I could absolutely run a race in this shoe and do just fine. I know that it's technically illegal, I think, because I think this is more than 40 millimeters, but I think it's a great example of a shoe that was like really ahead of its time. I think when it first came out, people didn't know how to react to it, and they just kind of gave it harsh reviews because they didn't fully understand what it was for. And I think now, if people were to run in it, I think that they would really like it, because I honestly really think that it feels a lot like this shoe here. The only difference is that obviously the Alphafly is a lot lighter, but this shoe feels a lot slimmer on the foot, so honestly it doesn't feel that far off. Like, as crazy as that sounds, I never thought I'd be saying that, bringing this shoe back into the rotation, but it really to me feels like honestly a super shoe. It feels like a shoe that you could absolutely go and rip a hard any distance in, like a hard half marathon. Maybe not a marathon because it's like a little bit narrow, but it kind of feels weirdly like if the Vaporfly and the Alphafly were like combined. That to me is what it feels like. I really don't know why people were so hard on the shoe, aside from I guess it was a different time and these super shoes were just coming out when this shoe was released and people didn't quite know exactly how to feel about it. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe there are people that still to this day do not like this shoe, but I remember the reviews of this shoe and people were not super positive. But over the past 2 runs, I have absolutely loved it. I think it's a shoe that, aside from going slow in, yeah, I will say that fine, it's not the most versatile shoe in the sense that if you're running slow, it's not that great. But if you're running fast or you're doing some hard reps, this shoe is absolutely amazing. And I know that Nike now has the Nike Zoom Fly 6, and it's probably kind of similar to this. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't run in that shoe, so I'm not 100% sure, and maybe it feels very similar to this, but I think that shoe is also, you know, probably a little bit designed to be more multi-versatile in the fact that I think you can kind of run slower in it. But then again, I don't know how it feels at fast paces. This shoe is a great example of what I think doesn't necessarily happen all that much lately. We have a lot of super trainers, but we just don't have a lot of like kind of niche shoes, and maybe that's why it's not super necessary. Maybe that's why people didn't like it. But I think for me right now, in the way my training works, it's really nice to have kind of a super shoe, but not really. I don't like to train in full carbon plated shoes, and this isn't a carbon plated shoe, I believe. I hope it's not. I think it's just a plastic plate in there, and that's what I like. I want to save the carbon plated shoes kind of for the end of the training block. I don't want to have them in the whole time, but I want a shoe that feels really fast. And a lot of these modern super trainers are really good at doing a lot of things, but not necessarily doing like this super fast work, because they just don't feel like this. But this shoe does kind of feel like that. What I want to say in this video, or the point I'm trying to make in this video, is that we don't necessarily see a lot of these, I guess, kind of niche shoes that are kind of super shoes but kind of not really, more of like a specific super shoe trainer. We have a lot of those now, but they're just meant for more versatile things, and with that, they don't necessarily nail one thing super well. At least that's in my opinion. So I think with that being said, this is a shoe that was way ahead of its time. It's a shoe that I'm super happy to bring back into the rotation. And yeah, maybe you think I'm crazy, maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe this shoe just doesn't do it for many people, but for some reason for me, this shoe works really, really well, and I'm super excited to have it back into the rotation. But with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can check out my channel. I'm currently training to run an hour 15 half marathon. I am documenting it the best that I can and creating a series on that, so if you have any interest in watching that, please feel free to go to my channel and check out those videos. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but either way, I still feel this way about the shoe. I think it's amazing, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video.